Good evening, Chicago. Welcome to CAN TV's #1 new show, Everyday Issues, a show about everyday issues. I'm your host, Rashid Sami, the youth motivation speaker behind the lecture, here with my fabulous, awesome, superb co-host, Mahogany Williams. How are you?
I am great, Rashid. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good here.
Good.
We're on Everyday Issues. Excited?
Yes. I'm glad to have the sun behind us. It's not as bright and warm out in Chicago today, but as always on this Friday evening, it's a pleasure to be with you, Chicago.
All the time, Chicago. We have an amazing show here for you. Today, we're talking about
How to solve problems. Are you a good problem solver? So as you're tuning in with us today, we challenge you to call in at 312-738-1060 and talk to us about how you're problem solving and if you are a good problem solver.
Definitely. But before we get the show started, as you know, we want to show our non-for-profit sponsor a little love, Heartfield Chicago, doing amazing things in Chicago, changing one youth life at a time, truly. If you have any questions regarding Heartfield Chicago, if you'd like to make a donation for the great causes that they're doing here in Chicago, give them a call at 1-833-845-3583. Again, we're so excited for Heartfield to be our sponsor. They're truly doing some amazing work, Mahogany.
Absolutely. I think anytime you're doing any work to impact the youth who are our future generations of leaders and doctors and teachers and lawyers, you want to make sure that you stand by them, you give them some awesome lessons to help steer them in the right direction, and make sure that they take care of those who have come before and after them. As always, Chicago, you know we like to start our show and our segment off on a really positive note.
Yes.
So we want to get that daily affirmation out for you today. And this week's daily affirmation is, I love my job and my work is fulfilling part of my journey to greater success. So we hope that you are making what you do or the work that you do your passion, that you love what you do. It brings you joy, it brings you happiness, because that contributes to the greater success of yourself. If you are miserable in what you're doing, you're not feeling as fulfilled, as satisfied. You know, you're feeling miserable. And there are some days where I don't always love what I do, but 98% of the time I am loving the impact that I get to have on today's youth and challenging them to tap into their greater self and create for themselves. So I hope that today, Chicago, you live in that daily affirmation. What about you, Rashid? Do you love your work?
Of course I do. Actually, I'm kind of wearing it now. I am a youth counselor for BIM, and working with youth, again, a passion I love in Chicago. We don't want you to be miserable. We want you to be happy and fulfilled here today on Everyday Issues. But let's hop right into today's show. We got a really great show here today. We're talking about problem solving and how effective you are at it. So, question, Mahogany, to Chicago, how great of a problem solver are you?
Very true. I'm going to talk about myself a little bit later, but before we start understanding like solving problem, how we can go about doing that, let's think about what that is. So problem solving is really finding solutions to something complex that you may be dealing with.
Definitely.
And there are a few issues or problems that we have in the world. 13 million children live in food insecure homes. There are 6 million people who are unemployed in the United States of America. 78% of the United States population is living paycheck to paycheck, myself included. I am guilty of having that problem.
Okay.
As well as like 54 CPS schools being closed and displacing thousands of black and brown students. These are all real life problems that we're dealing with in our society today. And I'm challenging us, and we're having a conversation about how do we tackle these issues? And there could be some personal ones that we deal with as well, but how are we tackling them? What are we doing to not be stuck in this is my reality and it is a problem, but how do I counteract that? How do I combat that? And how do I find real life solutions to help alleviate the issue or the stress that I'm dealing with?
Definitely, and I agree. And I thought you made a lot of key points on the everyday issues that we're going through, and there are problems to those issues, and how exactly do we start with the process of truly addressing problems within our lives. And I truly believe also, as a motivational speaker, that it's all about your mindset regarding how you're thinking, rather than be positive or negative, and that says a lot about your take on the problem. So my question, Mahogany, is how do you feel that may affect oneself if you have a positive mindset versus a negative mindset?
I think immediately when you said that, like, it brings to mind, like, fixed versus growth mindset. So a negative mindset or a fixed mindset will just look at the problem and say, it's too tough. I can't deal with it. It's not going to get better. That person typically may give up easily, and you just become engulfed in that problem, spiraling down and really having no hope of how to get out of it, versus having a growth mindset or a positive mindset saying, yeah, this may be difficult for me, but I can get through it. I can work through it. I will persist in spite of this obstacle that I'm dealing with, and I will overcome it. And I think having that optimism, having that hope, having faith that things will get better and you can work yourself through it says a lot about the person and how you get out of dealing with that problem.
I agree 100%. Your mindset is going to say a lot about how you're going to address these problems. And typically in society, we're so excited about the problem and we're so fixated on the problem and what the problem causes that we completely forget, Mahogany, there needs to be a solution to the problem and exactly how we solve it. And it says a lot about oneself on, look, do you really want to solve the problem? Because if you want to solve the problem, then that may mean that you have a positive mindset. If you're more fixated on the problem and all attributes of the problem and the turmoil of the problem, maybe that states you have a negative mindset.
Very true. I've been very guilty of that. Like, I've had conversations with my friends before where she's just like, you're just staying stuck in it. You can't move beyond it because you are wallowing in the problem. You need to think solution. You need to be solution based. And I am guilty of being held up in my room crying my eyeballs out about something that could have been solved days earlier had I just thought about, okay, what can I do to fix this?
Definitely.
What can I do to get myself out of being a prisoner in my own mind and being stuck with these negative thoughts and these negative feelings about what I'm dealing with to help move myself out of it?
Definitely. And I thought you made a great point, being a prisoner of your own mind, where the reality in our mind is completely different from the reality out in this world we're in.
Very true.
And having hope of feeling that you can overcome the problem, right? Because some problems that are present, we feel, look, either we can overcome it or we can't overcome it, and that speaks a lot about our hope regarding, can we truly overcome some of these issues? And let's be honest, as we fixate on the problem, we know, Mahogany, that does not fix it at all. That, if anything, makes it worse and worse. But it looks like we have a caller here on Everyday Issues. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, happy people.
Hey, how are you?
Hey,
it's our favorite caller and guest.
Yes.
To Mahogany, and bam, there it is. You guys are wonderful, wonderful.
Oh, wow. That's a good one. I like that.
The subject over here, positive thinking. And don't hang up, okay?
Okay.
Oh, no, we don't want to.
Never.
Positive thinking. Don't ever. I can't imagine you crying over nothing, Mahogany.
I'm a crier.
You stop that crying in your room. Don't stress over things that you can't change.
Very true.
It will change itself. Don't you worry. Ain't you ever heard one door opens, another one open, or one door closed, another one opens?
There you go.
Yes.
You think positive. You're a sweetheart. You shouldn't be crying about nothing. You call Rashid if you feel sad.
Aww.
Oh, Lord, a lot has happened since last week, ain't it, with that school shooting today? Let's make the sign of the cross for the Texas kids. You hear me out there?
Definitely, definitely.
Oh, my Lord, it's coming from all over. You can't go to school no more. It's a good thing you're almost done with college there, Mahogany.
Very true.
It's getting really bad. I feel so bad. See, there's violence all over the place. It ain't only in Chicago.
Well, it definitely sounds like it's a problem we're looking to address. Violence is one of those problems, and we've talked about that on our previous segment of how violence and its impact, and we agree that it's definitely a problem we need to solve.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we'll see what our little governor and this and that's going to do over here. Maybe these kids sing what's going on in these shootings in the school. You know, there used to be a group called the Trenchcoat Mafia. There was a big Columbine shooting a long time ago, rest all their souls.
Right.
And it keeps happening over and over and over. How many times I got to tell you, it's coming what's in the schools. Not out of the school, within the school.
And
that
we agree.
boy today,
we definitely agree, and that's why, again, we don't want to get caught within being fixated by the issue. We want to directly address the issue.
Right.
And I think you're right. Violence is still prominent, but again,
baby, that's a big problem. The only way not to have problems is don't create them.
Definitely.
But you do got to think positive. You make the sign of the cross, praise the good Lord, whoever you pray to. because these kids, they are really fighting a war within them schools, and they can't stop it. They can't. And look at where the kid got the pistols from, his own mother and father. Oh, Lord, what a mess. But I love you guys.
Access to the guns within
we
their own
did say
home.
that. We did say that.
They do.
And now it's time to address how do we solve this issue.
Absolutely.
Mahogany.
Like, how do we go through problem-solving problems? So I would like to challenge you all to think about 4 steps. First, identify the problem. Define it. What is it that's bothering you? Is it not having enough funds to pay your bills? Is it not being able to find something that you've been searching for? Is it, how do I end this paycheck to paycheck cycle? For me, getting enough sleep. Even ironically enough, we talked about setting a schedule for sleep. My problem right now is I'm not getting enough of it. And I recognize that and I identify that. So we would like to encourage you to spend some time identifying your problem. What is it? Define that problem. And then think about alternatives to that issue.
Definitely.
What could you do in place of that? What are some things, some people, some resources that you can find that can help you steer away from that problem and get more onto a solution?
Definitely. And I agree, you got to be willing to address it. You got to be willing to say, look, this is my problem. I'm aware of this problem. What can I actively do to fix this problem?
Absolutely.
Okay? If you're not asking yourself those questions, Chicago, you are not interested in a solution. You're not interested in moving from that place. And I see so many people get bottled down with that very mindset of, look, this is what I'm going through.
And that's
but
it.
That's it. That's it. And with that said, looks like we got another caller. Go ahead, caller.
Yes, Rashid and Mahogany, this is Ray.
What's up, Ray?
Call every week. You know what gets me is that the problem, you say solver, right? But there is none here for Chicago schools. From the governor to the mayor to the congressman to the state senators to the senators to Cook County Board, aldermen have done nothing.
They're further
The last
perpetuating
20
the
years,
problem.
the last 20 years, schools have been going down, and they haven't changed a thing. It's about time we get some people, like young people like you two up there,
Change.
together
I'm sorry, I had to
other
throw
young
that in
people
there.
and solve this problem, because it's not going to get solved for waiting for them politicians to do it. Please do something about it yourselves. And
Definitely.
Please, because when I was going to school, 70-year-old man, schools were okay. You didn't have to worry about nothing. Now, you got to turn around, look at going to shoot you, or you know. So please, you guys get together, run for office, do something, but get these other guys out. Because for 20 years, they have not done anything.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
and again, that could be part of the problem. If you got people here that isn't addressing the issue at hand, Ray, as you stated, then there is going to be a consistent problem. And as you stated early in the show, Mahogany, there are many issues going on. And now, again, I challenge our callers that how do you want to fix the issue? And I think Ray gave a great interpretation of that. Like, look, we need to get the proper kind of people in office to put that change into place.
Can I say one more thing?
Of course. Go ahead, Ray.
Yes, please. People might think that young kids are just all no good. But they ought to watch the show. And all the good givings and everything come back to them and say, look, not all the kids are bad. Look at the ones on TV. You are the guys that are going to change Chicago and every place else. Not them.
Here at Everyday Issues, I agree.
So
I agree. Thank you, Ray.
Talk to you young people. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Appreciate it.
I think, like, Ray makes some really good points.
And he always calls in and keep it 100. So thank you, Ray.
Thank you for being so real, Ray. We appreciate that. But it's like, it's very true. We are the ones that we are waiting for. So we have to do the work. We have to mobilize ourselves to identify, again, the problem, think about some alternatives to it, and then start implementing those solutions. So if that means protesting these school closing, if it means writing letters, if it means actually using our voices and voting.
The work. We have to put
people, yes, put the work in and put the people in place that will represent us and speak up for us and try to liberate us from the issues that are being caused. You think that closing these 54 schools is solving the problem, but it's really making it worse, because now you're taking children away from their neighborhood schools. You're busing them or forcing them to travel to other schools. They're unfamiliar territory, unfamiliar people. Cultures and things are clashing, so it's just creating more issues. And we know that our schools are over-policed, underfunded, underinvested in, and you wonder why the issues that we have are persisting. Definitely. You're putting no channels, no tangible supports in place to make sure that those things do not happen. And I typically stay away from politics, but being an educator and being on the front line of seeing how these things affect not only myself, but the students that I engage with and the parents daily, Definitely. Like, it's just... it rips your heart out to see that there are people who are in place that can do something about it, and they are not actively addressing the problem.
Exactly. And with that said, it really comes down to understanding how solving these problems could help the lives that they're directly helping with the problem. And it makes me wonder, is it purposely set up where the problem is the problem and we're not looking for the solution?
Absolutely.
And that's unfortunate, because Chicago, if we're in a society where there's a problem presented and there's no one really caring about solving the problem, and they directly speak and say this is the problem, but are intentionally not looking to fix the problem, that there is an issue. Problem. That there has a lot to do with, as you stated, politics. And I know we don't talk too much politics on here, but again, we have to be aware of who is in place to implement that change and directly say, look, this is the problem. We want to solve the problem directly and move forward. And by doing that, you understand, look, solving this problem can help the lives. If you're interested in helping the lives, you're willing to provide the solution to the problem. If you're not willing to provide the solution to the problem, you do not care about the lives. And that is something that becomes more and more apparent in today's society.
Very apparent and very detrimental to the livelihood of all of the people that those decisions impact. It impacts those people. So, I mean, I will even say that all life is problem solving. Right. Every day of our life, we're solving some type of problem. We're trying to navigate the difficulty of just living, just breathing, just eating, just surviving, just having shelter.
The day-to-day.
The struggle is very real. The struggle is very real for the day-to-day, but we need to not be reactive, but be proactive and think about what it is realistically that we can do to make sure that we alleviate some of the stress, some of the problems, some of the detrimental things that come along with just trying to live and survive.
And I'm going to be honest, being a man of God, and understanding that our viewers may have their feelings toward religion and spirituality and Christianity. And again, I respect all creeds, but trusting in God has helped me. And I would be denounced to not even mention that God has greatly helped me and been my fortified tower within trusting that He can help solve my problems, Chicago. And if you're interested,
it may help you.
That may help you as well. Again, we're supportive of all creeds and nationalities and spirituality, but again, I truly feel like our mindset has a lot to do with that as well, regarding maybe our spiritual walk as well, Chicago, and understanding that and trusting that and believing in that could possibly help navigate you to the next space. Because again, I know people, Mahogany knows people, Chicago, you know people who are just fixated with the problem, and that just brings a bad energy, Mahogany.
It definitely does. Just nothing but negativity. And I'm guilty of being one of those people where I've just been trapped in the negativity or the issue that I've been dwelling in or I've been facing, and not having people wanting to be around me or talk to me because my light is being dimmed by the difficulty of whatever obstacle is in front of me. I'm not as lively. I don't want to communicate. I'm very negative, and it then drains the energy of the people around me, and no one likes to be around a negative Nancy or a negative Nathaniel.
Nobody's winning. Nobody wins with negativity, because it takes away that fervor you got, that energy, that zeal, that like, I want to get out there and I want to conquer the world. In Chicago, I know you want to conquer the world. That's where you're tuning in to Everyday Issues today. And if you truly want to conquer the world, you can't really be around negative people. Negative people are not interested in solving problems.
You can't be negative yourself either.
There you go.
You can't be negative yourself. I've just told a friend this week, like, you are focusing on what's wrong and you can't think clearly. You're not thinking rationally. So your problem-solving skills, your common sense of your critical thinking of being able to navigate that space is being hindered because all you see is the problem, and you have to overcome that. And I'm a person that has been diligently working on, okay, Mahogany, change your thinking. While I like to think I'm a naturally optimistic person, things bother me sometimes.
And we're human.
We're human. It happens. Small things become big things. They become magnified by 1,000. But again, that starts with your mental. How are you processing what you're going through? And flip your thinking to be more solution oriented.
And I'm just going to give you, Chicago, a little bit of the motivational speaker in me, and that's count your wins. Count, okay, I woke up today. Okay, I have food in the refrigerator. Okay, I have my family. And just by starting that positivity, it will snowball and it will greatly affect every decision, every thought you have. Look, my car broke down. Okay, it's something out of this. It's going to be some sort of experience that's going to greatly help me. And it's going to be greatly part of my testimony to possibly inspire other people that are dealing with that negative mindset. And as positive people, we have to be willing to have that conversation with negative people and say, look, your mindset is the part of the reason why your problems persist.
Absolutely. If your mindset is why you are stuck in the situation that you are stuck in. And that's a hard lesson again, Chicago, that this year alone, I've been embracing and thinking about how I can overcome not being a prisoner of my mind,
there you go.
Not focusing on the negativity that I'm surrounded by or that's going on in my community, my home, my personal relationships, and how can I put myself in a position to overcome it?
Definitely.
What can I feed myself? What content can I give my mind, my conversations with God, the people I surround myself with, to make sure that I stay hopeful, I stay optimistic, I stay positive, and allow that to push me through whatever I'm dealing with. And we challenge you, Chicago, to do the same thing. We are the masters of our own destiny. We are in control of what we let stay in our mind. We can't control what comes in it. Well, we can, but you can also control how long it stays and what you do about it.
Definitely. Again, we can go on and on this topic about problem solving, positivity, negativity. It's been a great show, Chicago. We thank you for joining us here on CAN TV's #1 news show, Everyday Issues. And again, this is an everyday issue, Mahogany, that we're all dealing with.
I agree. Problem solving. So we challenge you, Chicago. Use those 4 steps. Identify your problem and don't be afraid to. We all have them. We all have problems. Identify it. Think about alternatives to it. Implement those alternatives and get that solution to help move you through whatever the problem is, no matter how small, no matter how big. You can overcome it.
Definitely.
You can
Looks
overcome
like
it.
we have one more caller, last caller of the show. Go ahead, caller. Oh, I'm sorry. Looks like we lost connection with him. But again, looks like we're going to wrap up here, Mahogany.